What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice, too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. Shout out to our friends at NeuroGum for keeping us energized and focused. NeuroGum is a chewing gum as well as mints that have caffeine, L-theanine, and vitamins B6 and 12 in it. Helps with memory and focus. I'll chew it really all the time. If I'm driving around showing houses, or about to go for a workout at the CrossFit gym, or before I train in jiu-jitsu. Just anytime I feel like I need a little bit of a mental boost before a big meeting, I'll just pop a piece of NeuroGum, and it gets me to where I need to be. So get out there and try some NeuroGum.
All right. Also, shout out to our people over at Captain Beard Co. So they've got great beard care products, oils, butters, anything you can think of, face wash, all made with all natural ingredients. Smell amazing. They also have other things like body wash and deodorants. And if you really want to set the mood, you can buy one of their candles. Everything smells amazing. Like I always say, it makes your girlfriend want to kiss you. So shout out to Captain Beard Co. Check out our podcast code Zach and Pat for 10% off any purchase.
All right, now to introduce our awesome guest. He is a husband, a father, a real estate investor, a real estate agent, the owner of the modern day agency, the great and powerful Sam VandenBrink.
Welcome, sir.
Dude, thanks for having me on, guys.
Glad to have you, man.
Absolutely, man. We're happy to have you. It's been a long time coming. So
yes.
For the people out there that don't know who Sam is, give them a little origin story here for us.
Man, so I'm a husband, father. I think that's a good place to start, right? Mm-hmm. And then a real estate investor, real estate agent, doing the best I can to do, the best by people.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Good. So modern agent. Modern day agent. How'd you come up with that name?
Man, so you see modern on different marketing, material and whatnot, and what's going on with the whole, NAR settlement, that kind of thing. It led me to, have some thoughts on the modern day, right? What is going to attract people, right? In a shifting market, because the market's always going to be shifting in some way or another, and people might be hesitant about that. And so if you market, hey, we do things how they're done today, right? The modern time. And so kind of just went with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, it's as you were saying, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it makes total sense with everything that changes, constantly changing, and constantly needing to be up to date to be successful in this market. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I think it's brought a lot of attention, too. We were at the Festival of Nations last week. We had a tent, partner with Arch Carts. If you don't know them, they're a local transportation company. Shout out to Arch Carts. They're the best. Okay. They're great.
What do you mean, local transportation?
So, they go downtown, right? They'll transport people to their vehicles to Cardinals games. They'll do, just private events like weddings, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. He's got some
golf carts and shit?
Yeah, golf carts.
Where they essentially just shuttle people to and from their vehicles. Yeah. So they're not stumbling down the street drunk.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. So you partnered with them and to do what? You went to
Festival of Nations, and so he ran all the transportation for the event.
Oh,
actually.
Cool.
And so we had a tent right at the very front. We were able to meet a whole bunch of cool people, just chat it up and have a good time. Festival of Nations is just an awesome event.
Yeah, I've never been. Where's it at?
Tower Grove.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like you're really involved with the Tower Grove community. I mean, because that's where you grew up there, right?
Yeah, man, I grew up in Tower Grove. We had a lawn company in high school. We were taking care of over 100 lawns a week. And
Damn.
So knew a ton of folks in that area. I mean, throw a lawnmower in the back of the Silverado with a weed whacker and a blower and just go out there and cut grass. And I kind of miss it, man. It's so therapeutic almost. Just go out there and cut grass.
A little simpler than what you deal with now,
A little bit, yeah.
So you've always been an entrepreneur. So you had that growing up. When did you start that?
I was like 14.
Okay, so the entrepreneurial spirit started young in you, huh?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I guess, man. It was just fun too. You know, you get to meet people, have conversations with them, get to work for them, and just bring value. I mean, throughout that, I worked at restaurants. As a kid, growing up at St. Mary's High School, and took that over to college. Worked in a couple restaurants during college. Started a business over there. It was actually a club promotion company, and so I.
Where was that at?
San Antonio.
Okay, that's
Texas.
Right. Yeah, I remember you telling me
So you went to college down in San Antonio?
Yeah, I did.
Cool. UT San Antonio?
No, St. Mary's University, actually. So
gotcha.
St. Mary's High School is St. Mary's University.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool.
They have a Marianist scholarship that transfers over, and so
Okay.
everybody can apply for it. And if you get it, it's a full ride.
There's a few of those. I think there's a St. Mary's in California, though, right? Too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
You
pretty
know,
sure there
Probably.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
That's pretty cool.
I feel like that's the one that's good at football that you might see
Yeah,
in like
yeah.
I've seen him play like college football games and stuff.
So, what was it that made you decide to go to down just because it was the transfer? Or was there any other schools that you were looking at for college?
Yeah, so I was gonna play football in college.
Oh, were you?
I went and like interviewed at a variety of different schools, and after seeing the schedules, I mean, it was like 6 a.m. every single day, and then you have after school practice, and just so time consuming.
Film and studying, and then just factoring you have to be a student on top of that, and then if you're a college kid, you want to have the college experience, and you don't get to do all that if you're an athlete. Well, maybe you can, Pat. I don't know.
Yeah,
at least that's what it looks like on the outside.
It's tough. I mean, you're only supposed to 20 hours of like practice time, but like in the off season and then during season you're playing, so it's like, but I mean, it's a full-time job. I mean, you're practicing all day, every day, like set practice times were like from here to here. But you knew like if you wanted to play and you wanted to do something, you had to be there early and you had to stay late. And then you had workouts and trainings, and I mean, we didn't have to do the film like football and all that, but
it's a little different there.
Yeah, a little different. But I mean, we had during season we would have pitchers meetings where we would sit down before every game and run through the strategies and their hitters, like what each like. I mean, it's amazing where technology is today, but like back then, even still, like we had guys, hot and cold zones and where they're like currently where they're hitting best at. Like you don't want to pitch this guy away, you want to pitch this guy in, you want to pitch this guy up, you don't want to pitch this, or you want to pitch this guy down, like things like that. But those meetings were still only maybe like an hour and a half long, if that. But yeah, I mean, we still had a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't have to. Nowadays, it's different. I mean, you look at some of these baseball players, and they're just absolutely jacked. But like, I was part of the era that you didn't absolutely have to be jacked to play baseball.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there was a lot of guys that were, kind of out of shape and liked to drink and party, and yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you did.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam, you were at San Antonio for how long were you down there for?
I was there for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I dropped out second year.
Okay.
Started a company with
a
a
club
buddy of
promotion?
mine. Yeah, so the club promotion company, we ran party buses to clubs, got in for free, and $5 for every person that we brought.
Okay.
And so we would just shuttle guys back and forth on a party bus essentially.
So did you own the party bus?
Did not own the party bus, no.
So how did that work?
Is rent them.
So you rented the party bus
Mm-hmm.
and then charge people to be on the party bus.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like
then
subleasing your.
like so you
Yeah.
sublease the party bus.
$10 to get on the ride, right?
Uh-huh.
And then $5 at the door from the club owner. And then you get about 2-3 bottles in a section
Okay.
Really?
as the owner. Yeah.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Very cool.
It was cool. I stopped doing it pretty quickly after a little bit. I mean, it was not the path down life I really wanted to take, and I noticed that after about a year or two. I was like, well, everybody's in their 40s and 50s over here just hanging out at the club. That's not where I want to be in my life.
Right. When they're, you're probably just driving around college kids and you're like, all right, where does this go? And then, so what brought you back to St. Louis?
Man, I just felt called to come back.
Now, did you get your real estate license down there, or did you get it when you came back?
I did, and so there's 180 hours of classes in Texas. In Texas. Yeah, and so I did all those over there, and then I felt called to come to St. Louis, and I was like, oh man, I just finished all these classes over here.
180 hours, Dan. We have, 48 here?
70 something with the state and national.
Oh, okay. Or no, it's 72, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
I think you're right now. Okay, so so it's almost more than double.
It is more than double.
Yeah.
Damn.
Texas is just a weird beast because it's the same thing like on our end. You have to go through separate testing and licensing for that state. Like they'll accept the national exam, but you have to take a separate state exam, or at least they did when I took it. But I mean, like they don't. Like they're very strict on like cash, like pulling your equity out of houses, like cash out refinances and home equity lines of credit. Like they're very strict about that. Like you only can do it once per house.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really weird how they have all that stuff set up and structured down there. It's strange.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I don't know. I just, when you're reading through it, like we still have like like we'll get it like, hey, we'll have a separate program. We'll have programs, and then we'll have a separate Texas cash out program.
They don't want to make more money,
You would think,
right?
you would think. It's weird that they're not allowed. It just, I don't know if it's protecting people from tapping into equity and holding on to it for when it's time to buy in the future. But I mean, but that's the thing though. Like me doing business here in St. Louis is way cheaper than loan officers down in Texas. So like any mortgage company here in St. Louis will probably have much better rates than what you see down in Texas because of that. So.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've never bought or sold any real estate in Texas, so I mean, why would I know? I guess, but
you see that stuff posted on you might be able to attest to this, being down there. But I mean, you look at some of these homes that they post for sale, like you see the videos, like, hey, this house is $400,000,
yeah,
and it looks like a fucking mansion.
Right. But then you look at it, and it's like on the border of Mexico, and you're like, okay, like okay, that's why.
Yeah. So
yeah, I remember somebody sent me that one time, and I was like, and then I like Googled the address, and I was like, it's literally like, I mean, like you can just. It looked like just down the street was Mexico, and you're like, okay, well, that's kind of why.
Well, San Antonio is pretty close down there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little Mexico.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Dude, the tacos are amazing, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
I miss that.
I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love some good Mexican food?
No kidding.
Truly authentic.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there. So then what? So then you move back here, and then what?
Man, so I moved back here, started taking my classes again because I had to take them all over again, and so
it wouldn't transfer.
No.
Really?
No. So I don't know why, and they may have. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So I took all my classes here again. Went and passed the national portion the first time, then took the state portion twice.
Same.
Yeah. Right. Yep. And when I first came back, we just kind of picked up the lawn service company again. So I was doing that for a while. Building retaining walls, patios, things of that nature.
You and your brother?
Hardscaping, yeah, me and my brother. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
How much younger is he than you?
4 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool.
He's a hustler, man. He's
yeah?
a hustler.
Yeah, I sat down with him and was interested in bringing him on, and I mentioned it to my business partner, and he actually he's like, all right, well, I'm getting ready to leave and head out of town for a month, and I'll be back. And by the time he got back to set something up, he'd already gone. I was like, oh shit, all right,
missed it.
Yeah, but no, it was awesome. I enjoyed sitting down with him and getting to talk to him, and big track star. Right? And is he done with college now, or is he still?
He's getting his master's.
Is he?
In
okay.
finance.
Is he still running? Is he still part of the track?
It's
program?
his last year. I get him full time in 12 months. I'm pretty pumped about that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I follow him on Instagram, and I've seen like him post his running routes before, and you're like, holy fuck, this dude's the fucking gazelle.
Dude, no kidding.
Are you a runner too?
No.
I did that for baseball, and I actually was just having this conversation the other night with somebody. But I'm like, I'll run for CrossFit, but that's my extent for running.
Which is like the most you're ever gonna run is Murph.
Yeah.
I think that's like the CrossFit workout that has the most like running in it, and all that is 2 miles.
Yeah, they're talking about this half marathon. I'm like,
yeah, no, I'm good.
Not for me.
No, sir.
No,
I gotta get ready for other things right now.
Yeah.
All power to him though. I mean, it takes a certain
100%.
kind of, you know.
Dude, my brother has run a marathon.
It's a mental grind, man, to go that long.
People get the runner's high. You know, some people can get it, some people can't.
Right.
That's kind of what I've noticed. And when you can get that runner's high, you get addicted to it.
Yeah,
for sure. No, it's. I went through a period where I was like real into running a while. It was years ago, but like I definitely actually, and I feel like it was more toward like weight cutting. It was never like running for enjoyment, but like I feel like I got pretty good at running. You know, just because I had to run so much to cut weight. That I mean, it definitely sucked, but I feel like I got good at it. You know. Which is just not a fun way to run.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a fun way to run. Just
doesn't make it enjoyable.
You're doing it on, with like no water on an empty stomach. Trying to just cut those last couple pounds. Yeah. Which is not fun. But I feel like I got decent at it, and I feel like it did definitely help my like cardio with with wrestling. Yeah. So.
You definitely need it for jiu-jitsu and wrestling. That's for sure. 100%. I'm always dying at the end of those classes.
Yeah, and here's the thing is I don't think, some marathon, I always say, like, that's one of the things about jiu-jitsu, people always tell me they want to, like, get in shape before they show up and do it, and you're like, dude, you can be a marathon runner and come in and, like, do this shit, and you're still going to get tired. Like, it's not, like, it's going to save you, like, nothing is going to get you in this kind of shape like that is, so, but anyway, where were we? Talking about your brother, and then, so when did you, like, kind of get your business going with real estate? Tell me about that.
So I started with Garcia Properties.
Okay.
that probably 2020, 2021, around that time. And that was right before I met my wife.
Okay.
And I'd been here, I don't know, 4 months or so before meeting my wife. And
Where'd you guys meet?
Bumble.
Okay,
Yep.
nice.
Met on Bumble, and then met at a local bar that I've been going to forever. Stella Blues. I've ever heard of Stella Blues. Recently got on fire. Kind of sad. Yeah.
Damn.
I've been going there since I was like 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so started with Garcia, then went over to Keller Williams, and then started the modern day agent team, and while at Keller Williams, and then moved over to Worth Clark. Worth Clark is really kind of just, like the umbrella, right? It provides errors and emissions insurance, that kind of thing, but they kind of let you do what you want, which is what we were looking for. And now we're kind of where we're at today.
Which is where?
Oh man, we got an office location on Morgan Ford and Tower Grove South. Just 3 agents right now. Looking to bring on a couple more. I want to have a designated broker, but not me being the broker, right? I want somebody else to kind of take that role on. I like doing transactions. I like working with people, and that's where I feel like I can bring the most value, right?
I like the sales, not the ops.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I've been working with a couple different guys who want to take on that role, which
Cool.
I'm excited about, because they really love to train guys. They really love to bring guys on the onboarding process. And so, it just takes, the right shoes, right? If you're fit for that position, and you really enjoy it, then do it.
Yeah. So like, what's the goal? How many you have like a number of agents that you're trying to get to, or like what's the end game?
I don't know that I have like a total like number right in mind. I think that I just want it to be a whole bunch of people that can really support each other and bring value, in team meetings and things of that nature, where we can lift each other up and bring advice about the market, about what we're doing, what's working, and build a community, that all works together behind a brand.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing. I think that mentioning Keller Williams, I think they do a good job of that. Like, there's a lot of collaborating amongst the agents that are there. So I mean, I think that's a great way to learn. I mean, that's how I learned on this side of the business. I was put in an office with 4 of the best producing loan officers in our company at the time, at Cornerstone at the time. And like, when you surround yourself by those people, there's no reason why you shouldn't be good. So if you're bringing in those people and they're following your lead and you're collaborating with them, there's no reason why they couldn't get good. So,
exactly. Right. I mean, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're
right.
going to see success.
That's the problem, though, is
problem.
finding the people that are going to do those things. It takes a special person, and I mean, TV glorifies it and makes it seem like it's so much easier. But I don't like, once they get into the actual grind of it and realizing everything that they have to do, it's amazing how many people just drop out. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen it. I mean, how many agents do you guys know that were started this year off as an agent aren't an agent anymore?
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, it's hard to make it, man. It is. Like, you gotta be okay with being told no 1,000 times, and you gotta put yourself out there a million different ways, and figure out the way that sticks for you, and and kind of run with that. I think definitely wasn't. I didn't start off. I didn't hit the ground running just selling a ton of houses. It took that first year. It took several months, probably 6 months in, before I started kind of like really figuring it out. Because I've spent a lot of time cold calling when I first started. And I mean, I always look back at that and was like, oh, if I needed to, I could always go back and do that. But I don't really have to do that anymore, thankfully. I'm businesses coming in different ways now and through different forms of marketing. And, yeah, so I mean, you got to figure out your way to do it, because like Sam's way is very different than my way, I'm sure. Like we've got different, there's definitely different ways to skin a cat. And, you just got to figure out the way that works for you.
Oh, for sure.
Or finding someone that you kind of vibe with that can show you their way, and you can kind of put your own little spin on it. Because I feel like that's what I did more than anything.
Yeah. So tell us about a little bit about your, like, from you, Sam starting out to Sam now. Tell us about that growth, that path. What would that look like, and what does it look like moving forward?
Great coaches, great mentors, and actually, listening to them and doing what they tell you to do, and that makes all the difference. Guys that truly want to support your business, right? You might be paying them a little bit of money. That little bit of money that you pay your mentor, you're going to get it back.
For sure.
100x, right? And so I would say, man, what's got me where I'm at today is really just trusting my mentors that I've hired. I've got 2 guys right now. Dino, him. He's phenomenal. Yeah.
And brought him your way.
You did, man. I can't thank you enough for that, man.
But anyway, yeah, Dino's been a game changer. I think him and I are business partners together. own that one rental property together, and then we're actively looking for more right now. But what I really like about him is I feel like he's a great business partner, because him and I definitely have different skill sets, as far as like he's like the king of spreadsheets, like super organized, like just very like step-by-step process, like always good at like just keeping track of things, whereas that's where I'm not as good. I'm good at like running around town, finding deals, talking to people, dealing with the people, like coordinating the contractors, dealing with the tenants. Like that's kind of where my skill set is, whereas his is, kind of more on the back end stuff. And I feel like it's a great dynamic for us to have. So that's, it works pretty well.
Feel that, man. I feel that big time. I'm in a similar boat myself, where it's like, I'm good at the agent side of stuff, running around, negotiating deals, showing houses, finding the, options, right? But need somebody to keep me organized on the back end.
Yeah. So you said you have Dino, and then you said you have another guy as well?
Yeah, so Ron Phillips, he owns a huge brokerage that's actually nationwide, and then a couple tech companies. Great coach. Part of a mastermind group as well. So he lives in South Carolina. I'll go over there once a quarter with 6 other guys. One of them's an agent, one of them's a chiropractor. So it's a wide variety of business owners in the group, and so we can all just pour into each other. You get 2 hours where you can talk about your business and the struggles you're going through, and then you sit there and listen to everybody else's, right, and chime in with different pieces of advice. And a lot of the times it's a similar issue you may be having, right, that they're asking about. And so you
different
can,
industry.
Exactly. And so you can just, plug and play. And a lot of the times you'll get more value out of the times that they're spending asking the questions. And I mean, it's just, you can't put a value on that kind of thing.
Right.
Right. I mean, you're fast tracking knowledge, right?
How'd you get in touch with this guy?
So this is a coaching kind of platform, right? I don't remember the name of it. It's like Business Mastermind or something like that. But it's coaches that are like all over the United States. I think there's only 4 of them actually right now. But different groups tied to the coaching platform. Really focuses on vision, and then building your business around your vision. And so it's not always about money, right? I mean, money's not why we do what we do all the time at the end of the day. There's so many more reasons why we do what we do, and I mean, it's to spend time with my family. To spend time with the people that I love. In order to do that, we have to make money, but how can we, balance all of that in a proper way to, actually create the time that you're, wanting to have with the people you love?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you guys being able to control the schedule and things that you can do with that and allow you the free time. I mean, I'm sure your wife and your boy or girl? Boy. Mm-hmm. New boy, right? Like
new boy.
Months old. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Axel
awesome.
David.
Okay. And I'm sure
Axel.
Like as he grows, he's going to appreciate that more and more and more. Is it a goal of yours to get into mentoring?
Maybe eventually.
Yeah.
Man, I've had a couple of guys ask me, hey man, you do want to mentor me, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm cut for that yet. Right. I mean, I want to do that. I want to bring you as much value as possible, but just pick up the phone and call me. Text me if you have a question. I don't want to put you on a coaching platform, right? I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to keep selling houses. I want to keep working with people and bringing value in that way.
Yeah.
And if I, start coaching or doing that kind of thing, it's going to take up the time
that
I would have where I could work with my clients.
Yeah, you've only got so much time and so much effort that you can put out every day. I always look at it like you've only got so many points of effort. If you've got 100 units of effort to give out every day, it's like you can only give so many units out. All right, well, I want to make sure that I'm here for my wife and my kids today. All right, well, that's going to take a certain amount of units. All right, well, I want to make sure I'm here for my clients and I want to make sure I want to show up for myself. I want to go get a workout in. I want to read my book. I want to spend the time investing in myself. So it's like that's going to take units too. So it's like you got to figure out the ways to distribute those units. It's all right. Well, if it's 25 units to the gym and to the the personal development stuff, and then the other 50 to my family, and then 20 to my clients that day, or 25 to my clients that day. But then there's other days where it's 80 points are going to my clients and my business, and then my family suffers. And it's just like you got to figure out the way. At least this is how I look at it. To balance those units out, because not every day is evenly distributed, and working on that even distribution of those units, I think, is like a really difficult skill. But it's something that's attainable. You know, people have done it, so you know that can be done. But it's always a work in progress.
There's seasons.
No,
you know,
sure.
you go through seasons. Okay, well, I'm working my tail off. I might work 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week for the next, 3-4 months, right? Well, I've opened up the door for time with my family now, right? And I have to give myself a break. If I don't give myself a break, I'm going to be spinning my gears so hard that I'm going to force myself to go into a break that I don't really want to have,
Right.
You know?
No,
we
that's
actually
true.
just talked about that on our last episode.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know, do you follow James Clear at all? He wrote the book Atomic Habits.
I know of him.
Okay,
I've heard of it.
I'd recommend signing up for his newsletter. It comes out every Friday. It's real short and sweet, and it gets you thinking about different things. But one of the things that he's talking about was like the seasons,
Yeah, it's like 3 ideas for me, 2 questions for you. Or wait, 3 ideas for me,
two quotes from others,
2 quotes from others, and 1 question
question
for you. And it's just that's all it is. And it's like it's a really good newsletter. But
takes
sorry.
like maybe 10 minutes to go through, but like it gets you thinking on a deeper level. Like, so if you're ever in a position where you're like, I don't know what your routine is, but in the morning, like meditation or getting yourself set and squared right, centered for a day, you could dive into that newsletter, read those things, and just kind of sit there with them for an hour and just think about that stuff. And this talking about seasons was what came up on his most recent newsletter that we were talking about last week, which it was great. I mean, you're right. You go through seasons, and I mentioned it for me, like the real estate industry kind of follows that baseball season. I played baseball since I was 8 years old until I retired at 27, and you bust your ass for on our side, even for agents, October through February, getting the things prepared. And so when you hit, March, April, when the spring season, selling season, buying season comes around, you're ready to rock and roll. And then you're just maintaining everything that you just busted your ass for in the off season to carry you through this. And then it's back to grinding. And so, it's one of those things that I've always kind of been in a routine in, and there's some drawbacks to it, kind of the dichotomy of things. But, you definitely need to give yourself some time and allow yourself to take that time to grow and be with your family, because you want to be successful. You want to grow. You want to continue to build this business. Build this business. And if you're wanting to do that, there's going to be sacrifices. But if, like you said, you give the units to them at a later date or a later time, it can all balance itself out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like when you're young, you're supposed to hustle,
right?
You're supposed to build your businesses so they can work for you. That you're not working in it anymore. Eventually, you're working on it, right? And so, I feel like that's the season I'm in. It's okay. Well, I want to build these businesses so that they work for me, they work for my family, and then we get to work for the people ultimately. And so that's a grind. It might be a decade, right? And my kids might be a little bit older, but at that time when they're really going to be able to receive the love that I want to give them, we'll really be in that time frame. So that's what I see, right, is, this hustle mode. It's time to go, right? It's time to, really build out what we want to have there for the next, 30 years. Yeah. But, you don't want to be working in it for 30 years,
And the good thing about, or like the thing that you need with that is a good supporting spouse. And how's your wife? Is she on the same plan? Does she have the same goals? Is she like supporting those goals in that way?
Man, I got the best wife in the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love her to death. She's so supportive, and she just, I can't harp on that enough. She is, saying, let's go for it. Do it, right? That mindset, that support, that really you just can't. Doesn't come very often, right? I mean, I got so blessed when I met her. But now she's quitting her job. We're building a construction company as well. Got 5 guys who will be on the crew, and she'll be managing all of that. And that's really, very, in her skill set. She was an analyst for Scott Air Force Base for the past 5 years. And so she's, spreadsheets, numbers, that kind of brain. And so that's why we work so good together, is we bounce off each other that way. Even when it comes to, just managing life stuff like, bills, applying for loans for rental properties, doing all that stuff in the back end. I mean, she handles all that now, right? All the financing for everyone to go to purchase a property, anything like that. She's doing that, while she was working. And she's just super organized. And so I'm really excited to, build another business with her.
That's
Sounds
awesome.
like a good yin and yang right there.
Yeah, yin and yang, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, you know, and you do quite a few like flips and stuff as well, right? I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. How many? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, so I did I don't know, I'm doing my 7th so far this year.
Okay.
Right now.
Oh, wow.
And
That's awesome.
I enjoy them. A lot of them are just like, you know, personal. Our house, before we bought our house, you know, we had to gut the entire thing, right? And so that's one of those. I just put an offer on one on Soulard that got accepted. So we'll start that at the end of this month. Done a handful in Tower Grove, Richmond Heights. But it's really just having a good group of people around you, you know, in order to rehab houses is really what it comes down to. Stuff's always going to get in the way. You know, shit's always going to get, you know, pushed back. You're going to have to deal with, you know, a lot of stuff throughout the process. But if you have a good team, you know, good contractors, good communication, you know, set timelines that actually, you know, get fulfilled, you'll make money from it, but, you know, you'll get to actually see success from it as well. And a lot of the tax credits from the city is something that I really, you know, like to get on those rehabs. So you might not make a whole lot of profit on the front end. But if you apply for the MPA credits, a lot of the times you'll get 40%, you know, in 6 months back from then for the money you spend on it.
Really? So the money that you spent on the rehab?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So say you buy a house for $100,000, you put $100,000 into it.
Okay.
Right.
All in for 200.
Yep. You get $40,000 back.
Okay.
40,000 of the $100,000 rehab, or $40,000 of the total purchase price, or the total money invested.
So it's going to be 40% of the money invested into the rehab.
Okay, so you make 40. So you made 40. You got 40 back from the 40 that you put into rehab.
So you put 100,000 into the rehab,
and then you got 40 grand back, essentially 40%. Got it. Okay.
Now, do those homes have to be in a specific area, or is it just anywhere in the city?
It's pretty much anywhere in the city. It's you know, an income limit kind of thing, right? But most city areas are covered.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Well, so you've done 7 rehabs. This year. I've only done 2. I mean, one that was one of the houses that we actually owned already, and then one we bought as a flip. And what's been your biggest headache this year that you've dealt with?
Oh, timelines.
Timelines?
Yeah.
Timelines, definitely timelines. And I haven't completed 7. I'm working on the 2 right now, so I've completed 5.
Okay.
But I'll have 7 done before the end of the year.
That's awesome.
And so I would say just, you know, getting things done in a timely manner. When you got a hard money loan or private money lender that you're working with, right, you're just doing 100% interest. A lot of times it's going to be 1% a month at that payment, right, and then 3% on the back end, something like that, depending on the kind of loan you get. And so time is of the essence in that scenario, right? And so if you're dealing with a whole lot of stuff, you know, you got a whole bunch of closings going on, you're working with your client, and that always comes first for me, right, is, you know, my client's needs, my client's goals, you know, and helping them achieve those. And so if I'm working on my own stuff, then it gets pushed back, right, which is okay, but it ends up costing you a lot of money in the long run. So really outlining and getting everything scheduled and ready to go even before closing, right? And so this property in Soulard, I mean, I got my architectural plans, so they'll be done before closing. I got, you know, my plumber and my electrician, they're opening up permits, you know, day of closing. And so just getting everything, you know, outlined before you even start making payments on those loans is really important, because you don't want to take too much time.
Right. And I think that might be where a lot of people fail, is they're waiting for it to close and then start that process. But that's smart. That's a really good idea to go ahead and get that planning and all that stuff ready to go on the day of closing, get those permits submitted, get everything taken care of, and then get rocking and rolling day one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one in Soulard, man, I'm super pumped for it. I mean, all the plumbing and electrical's already done, so all the demo was already taken care of.
Is this one of those like brownstone type?
Yeah. So it's a 2.5 story.
Okay.
Which is kind of funny. They put the master bathroom upstairs, and that's it.
Really?
Right. And so you have your master bedroom with stairs that goes up to the master bathroom. It's kind of funny. I mean, we'll be hanging on to it as a rental property. I'll sell it maybe in 5 years from now, when the market's, you know, really up.
Are you going to leave the master all the way up at the top, or are you going to switch it around?
I'm going to leave the bathroom. So they actually finished the bathroom upstairs. All the tiles done, all the plumbing's done, everything up there is done, which is it's just funny that, you know, people manage these rehabs in such a weird way.
Yeah.
So you bought this from a guy who was in the process of rehabbing it?
So it was on the market.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on the market. It was a foreclosure. Actually, Guild
Yeah.
had the financing on it. And it was just a deal, man. At the end of the day, I was shocked that I actually got it for the price I got it for.
Just lowball the hell out of them?
I will actually pay $25,000 over asking.
Wow.
Yeah. They wouldn't take escalation clauses, which is, you know, kind of interesting. But
those can get so screwy, you know, like, at least because, you know, especially when you get 3 offers and all 3 of them are escalation clauses, you're like, the fuck do I do here? You know, I mean, at that point, you know, I think you call 3 agents and you're like, all right, hey, you know, everybody just submit your best and final. You know, I think that's, in my opinion, that's probably the better way to do it, just because, you know, if you've got 3 people that come in at asking price and they're going to escalate, you're like, okay, well, everybody's technically at the same price.
Well, the escalation clauses bounce off each other.
What do you mean?
So, like, if you get an escalation clause, it's, you know, say you got a price at like 300,000, and then they escalate up to like 325. You know, and then you have an escalation clause up to 330, right? Well, that person's willing to pay 325, right? And so you send over that escalation clause that they had on their contract when you escalate the other one.
But nothing escalated it. Nothing initially escalated it.
Well, the escalation clauses bounce off each other because they're willing to pay that price.
So if you got two $300,000 offers, and one has an escalation clause up to 325, the other one has it up to 330.
But
it automatically
it doesn't escalate unless there's a competing offer up to that price.
It is up to that price, though.
But it's not on the purchase price line of the contract. The purchase price line on the contract says 300.
But the offer is up to that amount, right?
But you don't have an offer that escalates it to that amount.
At least
that's how it always gets, like, at least that's how I look at it. I mean,
you're looking at it as like, all right, so this guy offered 300 with a up to 325. This one's 300 up to 330. Well,
he's going to go up to 325. I get it.
It's already escalated up to 3. So because he came in with that second offer of 300 escalated to 330, you're saying that you're looking at it, all right, well, this guy's offers now is 325.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you're escalating it, 325 plus whatever he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I was always, informed about it. That's how I, my mentor at the time, you know, when I started at Garcia, she's been doing it for 20 years. That's how she taught me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a simple way to think about it.
I mean, it's a better way to think about it, but it's just that's why I get when people say no escalation clauses, because it can get really confusing.
Yeah, whoever, I guess, has the higher amount that they're willing to escalate up to is the one
the winner, I guess, or the one that, that would be the highest. But
there's all the other terms too.
Yeah.
So many times I'll go with the offer that's actually less.
But more convenient terms for sure. I mean, the no inspection thing is that's kind of the king card. At least that's what I always say. Mm-hmm. No sellers want to deal with that.
We talked about real estate, talked about the business. What's it like being a dad?
Man, being a dad's awesome.
Yeah.
They grow so fast.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What's been your biggest lesson that you've learned so far?
Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spending time, even if he's not going to remember, right? I think it was 3 years is when things start, sticking.
I don't know.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Biggest lesson you learned is time. Has there been anything that surprised you about being a father, like an expectation that you had that just hasn't, that was like, or maybe like a miss or a misconception about fatherhood that you might have thought prior to that you realized was like, oh, okay.
It's easier than I thought it was going to be.
Agreed. That's where I was at.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought it was like, I don't know, the bomb was going to go off in my life and I, would never have the time, right? But it's more of a, it's precious time
right
now, opposed to whatever you might have just done before, right? Lay on the couch, play on your phone, something like that. Now I get to come home and I'm excited to get home. I'm excited to spend time with them.
Yeah. Right. Wait till he starts running around and starts saying, like, Daddy's home. Like, dude, that's a fucking game changer. When all of a sudden you open up the door to the garage, walking in the house, and hear those little feet running across the fucking floor to come at you, dude.
But yeah, it's when has he recognized you yet? Like when he sees you, does he like smile and?
Oh yeah. I feel like that started to happen at like month 3 or something.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's where we're at with our second right now. He's like just starting to smile. He's starting to like recognize you, starting to follow you around. Like that's like when it starts getting a lot more fun, And then when they start talking and walking, that's when it's a whole fucking trip,
Yeah.
Like that's a whole different ball game when they can start walking and talking. Because then, I mean, things do become more difficult. I'm not gonna lie, because you're just way more concerned for their safety, because you're just like you just realize how dangerous the world is around you, like there's just death everywhere, like.
Well, and I just think at the beginning it's getting used to the lack of sleep. Mm-hmm. That's what makes the early stages of being a father and a new baby tough, is working on that lack of sleep. Now, mothers definitely have it way harder with the breastfeeding and all that. Like, as a father, I kind of felt guilty when the boys were first born because I was like, "What? I want to help. I want to be able to do something, but it's limited on what we really can do." Especially if your wife is breastfeeding, really, like, it's not like you get to wake up and can't just pull it out and feed them. You need your wife for that. And I don't know, bottle feeding. Well, it took us a while before we switched to bottle feeding, but then once we did that, we kind of got on a routine and a schedule, and that was key for us. But yeah, and then eventually switching over to formula. And when you guys do switch to formula, the baby Brezza, hands down, we've talked about this before. It's a Keurig machine for baby formula. Amazing. You just put it in there, hit a button, gives you the perfect ounces and water temperature. It's great. So,
note taken.
Yeah,
we do. We're doing all formulas pretty much this go around. I mean, Gina did breast milk for a little bit, but then it just becomes just so much. Like she produces like a crazy amount, and so it's just like such a chore for her. And I mean, she just spends her whole day pumping then, and it's just constant with the cleaning of the pump. If you're not pumping, then you're cleaning the pump, or you're bagging the breast milk, you're freezing the breast milk. Like, dude, we had like more than 1,000 ounces frozen in our freezer at one point. Like, yeah, she was making anywhere from like she was making like 64 ounces a day.
Trapping breast milk.
Pretty much. I mean, I know you can like sell it and stuff. Yeah. I don't know. We never really got around to doing that, but
liquid gold.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we could have gotten around to doing that, but we never did. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's been it just gets more and more fun as they grow up, and so I mean, I'm only just a little bit ahead of you, so you'll see here in about a year, it's fun.
Yeah.
Because we're at a point now where he's like playing with friends and stuff. Like it's cool. Like we're really lucky. We live here in a cul-de-sac, and we're just surrounded by like kids under the age of 5, and so he just goes out inside and has like a blast every night, from like 5 to 8 o'clock every night is a party in front of our house. Like with the 3 families in our cul-de-sac, it's a blast.
That, and then too, once they get to that age where like they start comprehending and learning what's going on, like every day something new.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And just like seeing them grow up, and that that adventure that they have, and that just to learn, constantly be learning. So it's been awesome. So
yeah, something I'm really excited about. I mean, we live I don't know, like Noose Miser, 141, kind of Gravois Bluffs area, Fabic Park.
Yeah.
So we live like right there on Noose Miser, and about 2 houses down.
Not too far from one another.
No.
I'm on Baldwin up at 141 in Big Bend.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah. So we like have our 2 closest friends like right there.
That's awesome.
And they've got 2 kids under 2.
Dude.
And then his godfather just moved in like right down the street too. And so it's us, and then our close friends in the middle. And so we're just going to send the kids, meet in the middle, just meet in the middle.
Yeah. Go outside and play.
Yeah, dude,
go out
it's
and
amazing.
play. So
Sam, tell us what's like a normal day in the life like for you?
Man, I
know it's going to be, I know every day probably like my schedule looks very different, but like just a normal every, like a standard run of the mill day.
So beginning of the week, Sunday night, I just map out what I got to do, right? So Monday through Friday, what am I doing Monday through Friday? And then every single, day is going to be different. You're going to have to add things to that schedule throughout the week. And so before going to bed, you just map out the next day, right? What do I have to get done? And so every day is different. I usually just start out with like some kind of workout, right? I don't really run, but I'll go like on like a walk run, There's a big hill next to that Fabic Nature Park that I'll go up and down a few times, and maybe go to the gym for 30, 45 minutes right after that. Come home, shower, reply to whatever, quantity of text messages and emails I've received through that time.
Yeah.
And then meet with my assistant after that, map out what she's going to do for the day. And after that, it's just hustle. You got showings, listing consultations, going and looking at properties for myself, going and looking at properties with other people. Just really depends on the day, man. Depends on the day. Some days are insane, and some days aren't. Right. And those days that aren't, you really want to soak it up and try to spend time with the fam.
Oh, dude, sounds very similar to my days. Throw a jujitsu and a podcast in there, and we've got the same schedule. So.
Anything
I
else?
Pushed it back.
Anything else you want to chat about or talk about that while we got you here?
Man, so much stuff we could chat about.
Oh, there's
right?
a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. Anything in particular that you want to talk about while being on the show?
Man, nothing in particular, really. I would say there's so much value that you guys can bring to people, right? And so getting to know you guys better, is something that I'd like to do. So
we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks again.
Thank
Thanks
you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that'll conclude our episode today, guys. If you could, please click that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment what you guys thought below, and we will see you next time.